live in a connected world. No matter where we are at home, at work, within our travels, we've got to be connected. We've got to have the ability to hook up all of our smart devices to the internet. And an area that is just now getting a lot smarter, thanks to a leading organization within the industry, is the skies. And specifically within the world of business aviation, high-speed internet connectivity is more important than ever. And so a leader in the space, very appropriately named SmartSky Networks, has introduced some incredible technologies and products that allow individuals and companies within business aviation to realize the high-speed internet connectivity that they need within their operations. And so really excited to talk more about the industry, connectivity within business aviation, and to learn a little bit more about an incredible company that's leading the way, SmartSky Networks. I have the opportunity today to speak with Dave Helfgott, the Chief Executive Officer of SmartSky Networks. Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by today.
Grant, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Well, there's a lot happening within your world today, but just the industry in general, business aviation just has seen some tremendous growth over the last couple of years, which I know is even further driving that need for high-speed connectivity in the skies within business aviation. Would you mind maybe speaking to that a little bit, specific to kind of this growth in business aviation? What's happening within the industry, and why, especially over the last couple of years, has business aviation really taken off?
Yeah, there's two converging trends, both accelerated by the COVID pandemic a few years ago. One is the move towards private aviation and business aviation, which had been going on for a while, but really got a booster around 2020. And the other is the need for ubiquitous connectivity, not just some kind of connectivity, but broadband, low latency, highly interactive connectivity. And so those two things have converged in the market of business aviation connectivity. We've seen incredible growth in demand in terms of not only the types of aircraft being connected, but the demands on the quality of that connectivity. And so those two things really have collided and played very nicely to the launch of our network and our service.
Yeah. Yeah, we live in such a connected world, as I shared, and so as individuals, we're so connected nowadays. Wherever we are, enjoy high speed connectivity, but specifically within business aviation, haven't kind of realized that really until the solution that SmartSky Networks offers. Would you mind maybe speaking a little bit to why it's kind of taken business aviation as an industry a little longer to kind of ensure that high speed broadband level connectivity that you now offer? Why wasn't this available sooner, or why some of the solutions that maybe have been developed prior to SmartSky, why aren't they working kind of to the level that they need to?
Yeah, that's great. So there's been connectivity to aircraft for some time. Some of it has been, for example, streaming of movies onto large commercial aircraft. And for business aviation, there's been a let's say, lukewarm adoption of the existing solutions that are out there today, driven by mostly value and the ability to fit on smaller and smaller aircraft. So today, before SmartSky came on board, your choices were narrowband satellite communications for most business jets, and there's some 25,000 aircraft ranging from Boeing business jets all the way down to turboprops. So as at the bottom half of the airframe size, you don't have a lot of things you can fit. So your choices were narrowband or a pretty, let's call it inferior air-to-ground alternative. And so many aircraft owners and fleet operators and charter operators looked at that value equation and decided they would wait. And so what's come along since then, of course, are a lot of technical innovations and an increasing demand for that high quality connectivity on any kind of aircraft. And so SmartSky has been working for years now, developing unique technology that blends 4G and 5G, but customized for the aviation use case. And we are just in the right place at the right time, I would say, as this is really starting as an inflection point to take off. So now the alternatives for all aircraft owners are going to be a very high quality broadband experience across the United States.
Yeah, yeah. How important, as you shared, some of the companies, technologies kind of neglected, the industry for some time for a variety of reasons, and the need for it has really, kind of jumped over the last couple of years. COVID and other factors, really just the industry as a whole has grown, and so the need, even more so, within the industry. How important, is this high speed connectivity to today's average business jet passenger?
Well, the short answer is important, but it's not obvious why it's become even more important. Let me explain. Everyone's aware of the sort of back of the aircraft, the cabin, where people are streaming movies or doing video teleconferencing like this, or uploading large files, or doing cloud-based computing. Business aviation has a much more rigorous demand for the kind of connectivity. It has to be broadband both to the aircraft and off the aircraft. And it has to be very, very low latency between those two forward link and return link connections, because those applications just crash. And so if you're an executive flying in private aviation and you want to get through your company's firewall, or you want to do a video teleconference session, or you're uploading a large file, today's technologies don't really enable that. They'll crash. And so a properly engineered broadband air-to-ground network like SmartSky allows all of those use cases. And so for the very demanding users in private aviation, we have the right solution. But that's the back of the cabin. That's what we're all used to thinking about. There are other domains in the aircraft that until now really haven't been able to take advantage of this high-quality connectivity. The second domain is, let's call it the operational domain, or the middle of the aircraft. That's getting telematics data, operational data off the aircraft in real time to flight departments, to maintenance organizations, to scheduling, so that you don't have to wait till the aircraft gets to where it's going and then fix problems or reschedule. It's a huge improvement in efficiency, both in terms of time efficiency and fuel efficiency, and frankly, just better operations and safety. And so a lot of times an airplane has to wait till it rolls up to the gate before they can start getting that data off the aircraft. And be able to do that in real time will vastly improve operations for fleet operators and corporate networks and so forth. The third domain is the cockpit. And of course, the pilot has lots of instrumentation at their disposal, but augmenting that information with real-time data, real-time applications is also enabled by the same network connection that we can provide. And so those three different domains, back of the aircraft, the user, the passenger, the middle of the aircraft, which is the operational domain, and the front of the aircraft, which is the cockpit, all of those take advantage of, again, a properly engineered and designed broadband air-to-ground network like SmartSky.
Yeah. Yeah. You've definitely educated me. I think it's easy to immediately think, of kind of some of those individual kind of passenger, back of the airplane needs, but really interesting to hear kind of from the operational cockpit perspective, how, very much needed within some of those other zones as well. Why does your technology work so well to address the needs of those, multiple zones? There's certainly others, within the industry, targeting, this need within business aviation. Why does your technology work so well? You have some incredible partners and demonstrations of your technologies in the skies every day. Could you talk a little bit more about why, you really offer a solution that kind of specifically addresses needs within those different domains?
Sure. So our network's live today. It's nationwide. We have 21 and growing channel partners who install and sell our equipment to fleet operators and aircraft owners. We have value-added resellers who sell our services, including Honeywell, for example. And so that part of our ecosystem is in place. The network is in place. And so we're able to get really good feedback right now as to how it works and what's working. And then there's the technical part of the answer, which I won't bore you with the details, but effectively, we've been able to take advantage of the most recent innovations in technology and then customize that to our own network. And so we have some 220 patents granted, for example, and another 100 pending that allow us to take advantage of those different types of techniques. At the end of the day, regardless of which domain you're operating in on the aircraft or what application you're running, what you really want is ubiquitous coverage, and you want it to be reliable, something you can depend on. And so whether you're flying over the middle of the US or in a very congested area over the Northeast, the network should operate the same. You should be able to do the same things. In the past, other providers of services from satellite, for example, were good at providing forward link bandwidth to the aircraft, but very poor at the latency and bandwidth off off the aircraft, excuse me. And so that created a less than optimal experience for these types of business applications. And the legacy air-to-ground operator just has 3 megahertz of spectrum. We're operating in 60 megahertz of spectrum. So they just don't have enough bandwidth, frankly, and their technology is a lot older to take advantage of what's possible today. So all of those elements combine to give us, frankly, great feedback from all of our customers and all of our test flights.
Yeah, yeah. I understand there's also a single connection feature of the technology of your system that offers some benefits, specifically for individuals and companies within business aviation. Do you mind maybe speaking to that single connection feature?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, as I mentioned, over 200 patents, and some of them are around the architecture of the network. Some of them are how the connections are made. We use what's called beamforming. Instead of just spraying signal out into the sky and having airplanes fly through it, like some other operators might do, we have individual beams that actually track with the aircraft. And so you have a single beam per aircraft connection. That means that no one else can intercept or be on the same link. And that beam is dedicated to that aircraft, so you won't be sharing that bandwidth with other users as well. So quality and security are much higher with our architecture than with any other architecture. And so for the end user, of course, they care about security, but what they're experiencing is the quality of that connection. Our network has over 30,000 independent beams across the United States. Wow. And so more than enough to cover the busiest day of the busiest hour in a business aviation context.
Wow. You touched on an incredible partnership with Honeywell, and more specifically, I understand that there's some significant benefits of integrating with Honeywell's Forge systems. Would you mind speaking to that?
Sure, glad to. So our strategy has been to go through intermediaries to really give ourselves a force multiplier to expand into the market as quickly as possible. On the equipment side is through MROs and OEMs, and on the services side through value-added reseller, Honeywell, principal of those. Forge is a platform that Honeywell provides in aircraft, in aviation, that allows you to control all kinds of aspects of your network, security, value-added services on top of that, applications on top of that, different ways to control and manage the network in the aircraft and off the aircraft. So all of those tools, all those controls, all of those additional applications are layered on top of our network and frankly are enabled and empowered by our network. So it's a very cooperative, very good relationship we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there specific, types of aircraft or, maybe operations that are kind of best, suited for, your network? And, I'd love to learn a little bit more. I know you offer some different systems and, familiar with the SmartSky Light system, for example, but curious about, if there's types of, specific aircraft or operations that are, kind of best suited for some of these different systems.
That's a great question. So we're focused on business aviation today. That could grow over time. Of course, there are adjacent markets, but focusing on U.S. business aviation, there are roughly 25,000 aircraft. And as I mentioned at the beginning, they can range in size from Gulfstreams and Falcons and Boeing business jets, which are quite large, all the way down to turboprops like King Air or Pilatus. And there's quite a lot of those. So altogether, that comprises 25,000 aircraft. On the larger cabin aircraft, our platform is called Flagship, which is a radio plus 2 antennas and some cabling. And that's the correct platform for aircraft in large cabin down to what's called super midsize or even mid-sized jets. And there are probably 10,000 of the 25,000 that I described to you in that domain. Okay. And then for the smaller airframe types, small jets and turboprops, we have Light, which you referred to, which is the same technology, same platform. It's a single antenna and the same radio. And that's because it's frankly much less real estate. But what's unique in that 15,000 aircraft group is this is a very poorly served or completely unserved part of the market, which also happens to be the fastest growing part of our market. And so we have people who are used to being connected everywhere while on the move. They have an expectation of being connected when they fly, but today they're just not being served. And so we're seeing an enormous amount of demand coming from the small jet and turboprop market and our Light platform.
Yeah. So within business aviation, as you've just kind of shared with us, you've kind of offered very, very catered solutions, technologies, products for the different type of aircraft, the different type of operations. I'd love to learn, and kind of fitting within the theme of the Are We There Yet series, high speed broadband level connectivity within, business aviation at scale. Are we there yet?
We are there. We are there starting really this year. We've been deploying on various types of aircraft really for the last 6 months. We're seeing great feedback from our customers and users. They're doing these applications that they could not do well before, and they're doing it consistently well in every part of the U.S. And so, starting now, I would say we are there, and watch this space as we grow into this market.
Yeah, definitely will. Well, I'm so excited to hear that we are there, thanks largely to SmartSky Networks, and so that's great to hear within the industry. Beyond just getting there, recently, what's next for SmartSky Networks? I know that you offer a lot of catered solutions for the different aircraft. Solutions for the different types of operations. You're there, you're live. You've got incredible partners, organizations that are using the systems. Any hints to kind of what you're most excited about now, kind of looking to the future? What's next for the organization?
We will execute on our plan this year and really drive into the business aviation market. We're being introduced to adjacent markets, adjacent use cases that are quite well suited to the network that I described earlier to you. Some of them are data-only applications, more telematics and data-off aircraft, which could be very interesting. We announced something recently about private internet, which allows you to create a extension of your corporate VPN onto the aircraft, as opposed to doing tunneling or other types of ways to get into your corporate VPN. So it's another way of extending security, peace of mind, and sort of access to important business applications and documents while flying. So those kinds of products and adjacent applications are the next thing. In the future, if it flies and it needs data and it needs it at high quality and low latency, we're looking at it. And so there's lots of adjacent markets to move into in the same footprint in the United States. General aviation, advanced air mobility, those are all in our future.
Very good. Very good. So glad to hear that. I know that as a result of our conversation today, there's going to be a lot of members of the Are We There Yet audience, individuals and organizations that might just now be learning about SmartSky Networks. I know many of them are working with you already, but for those organizations within business aviation that aren't yet working with you, you mind directing them to the website and where maybe they can learn a little bit more about the organization and solutions that you offer?
Absolutely. Please come visit us at our website, smartskynetworks.com, or our social media sites. And of course, you can always reach us through our partners, including Honeywell Aviation.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much for that. Well, really appreciate you taking the time to talk today. This has been a fascinating conversation for me, and so excited to hear that high-speed connectivity within business aviation, thanks to SmartSky Networks, we are there. So excited to hear that. And again, just thank you, Dave, so much for taking the time to stop by today and talk within the series.
Thank you, Grant. I enjoyed it. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.